Hello weirdos, welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe, and today we are going to be doing a video that is a TBR. Super fun. So the TBR we are doing is the TBR for May and for the Asian Readathon. I would have had this done a lot sooner, however, the beginning of May was kind of crazy. I had some medical stuff that I had to deal with. There was lots of things happening, so I just didn't get around to finding out about it until like about the 4th of May, and again, so much stuff was happening that week that I just didn't have time. Plus, look who we have here. Hey baby, do you want to say hi to the people? Do you want to say hi? There she is. There she is. She's a cutie patootie. So, let's get back to talking about the Asian Readathon. So the Asian Readathon is hosted in the month of May every year, starting 2 years ago by Read with Cindy. She's a very popular booktuber. I'm sure you guys all know who she is. Oh no, don't fall. So she does a couple of different prompts every single year, and this year there are 5 prompts. She's so cute. And here are the prompts. So one prompt is to read a book by an Asian author. Another prompt is read a book featuring an Asian protagonist. Next is read a book written by an Asian author in your favorite genre. Next is read any nonfiction book written by an Asian author. And lastly, it's read any book written by an Asian author that's not US centric. And I thought all these prompts were pretty cool. They're pretty diverse, and you can do a lot with them. You can probably hit like all of those with one book if you interpret protagonist to be like subject material or who it's about. And there's a lot of other stuff going on. I will link the information for the Asian Readathon in the description below. I don't think it's too late. Again, you can kind of have as many books count towards this as you want. I chose a book for every single prompt. I didn't actually go through and like say, hey, this book counts for this prompt, this book counts for that prompt, because I wasn't sure how many of them I would get to. Honestly, that just sounded like a whole bunch of work, and I just didn't want to. So I chose 5 different books, and if you put them together in any which way, they would fulfill all of them. So another important thing to note is for a book to count towards the books that you're reading and to count towards the prompt, it needs to be written by or about someone with a different ethnicity. So you can't read books all by Chinese authors or all about China, which is what I did last year, because I very clearly, by my bookshelves, do not have a China bias. Oh no, don't fall, baby. Yeah, so like I am really, really interested in China and like Chinese history and Chinese culture. So I have a lot of books about China and I read a lot of books about China. So this was really fun to have kind of push me outside of just the like box of China. And I do read different books by different Asian authors. I just have a lot of them on bookshelves. And again, you guys probably know if you've been watching videos from this year's that one of the things I'm trying to do is keep all of the reading that I'm doing solely limited to my bookshelves, with a few exceptions, that being any of the books for the BookTube prize or the Goodreads Choice Awards. But otherwise, if I want to read a book, I have to own it. I think I've made one exception this year so far, so I've been doing pretty good about that. So doing this readathon, I had to constrain myself to books that I owned. Let's talk about the books that I own. So the first book is The Kite Runner by Khalid Husseini, and I read, it's behind all my piles of books. So I read his 1,000 Splendid Suns, and this book made me cry. I loved it. And I've heard by some of my friends that have read Kite Runner that The Kite Runner is even better. So did I own this previous to when I started this prompt? No. However, I did go book shopping relatively recently and I picked this up because I heard it was really good. So the author, Khalid Husseini, he is an Afghan author. I don't really know much about this book. I'm assuming that it deals with Afghanistan and the history there, and I know it's fiction, and I don't really want to know much about it. A lot of these books I'm going in relatively blind, so I'm excited to read this guy. So the next book I don't actually have a physical copy of, but in my mind it worked towards it because I own a audiobook of this, and that is The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeko. This is one of the books that is kind of like available to just sort of buy free of charge if you have Audible membership. And I saw the cover, I was like, oh, this is cool, it looks cool. I mean, look at it. It looks like it's dealing with some sort of like necromancy / dark magic system. I thought that was cool. It's fantasy. It is YA, but I thought that this would be really cool. So just in case, I did actually purchase a physical copy of it, but I do have the audiobook. So in my mind, that's how I justified it, as I own this book. The author, Rin Chupeko, is Filipino, so that's how that one got there. The next book I decided to read is The Tale of Genji. This is by Murasaki Shubiko. This, again, know very little about. I know it is a Japanese classic. It takes place in 10th century Japan. I have both parts, volumes 1 and 2. I just am going to limit myself to just trying to get through volume 1, because a lot of my motivation to read this month has been kind of low. So we'll see how that goes. And this is one of Japan's greatest works of literature. And it's a romance, so that's cool. Where are you going? She's so cute. Look at her. There you go. The next one is a ebook that I own, and that is Waiting on a Bright Moon by Noon Yang. And this book was actually recommended to me by the Storygraph itself, which, if you don't know, the Storygraph is kind of where everything is being organized this year. And I really like the Storygraph, and it was one of those 30 recommendations they give you when you fill out that recommendations form. It's a short story. It's only about 40 pages, and it was about $1 to purchase, so that's not too bad, and I'm super excited. I think it's going to be like, I don't know that much about it, but I think it's going to be a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of like magical mysticism, and I'm excited to read that. And that one doesn't have an audiobook, so it's the only one that I'm going to be reading that I don't have access to an audiobook for. And Noon Yang is Singaporean, so there you go. And the last one, which is my Chinese book pick and my nonfiction book pick, because all the other 4 picks are some sort of fiction, is Empress Dowager Cixi, and this is by Zheng Qiang. I really like Zheng Qiang's work. I read her Wild Swans, and I really like that as well. This is a biography of Dowager Empress Cixi, and I was just like, this is going to dive into some more like modern, but like modern in terms of happened in like the past 300 years, Chinese history, Qing dynasty. I cannot. Anyway, she is one of history's most like amazing women, like most notable women, and I just like, yes, let's learn about her, let's read about her. And I just recently got the audiobook checked out to me from my library, so I'm super excited to get into this. Yeah, and those are the 5 books that I chose. Yeah, I tried to keep it kind of like diverse and everywhere. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot harder than I expected it to be, and you can see that I kind of like bended some rules, but I really wanted to have 5 different books from 5 different places. And I also wanted to make sure that I didn't reread anything. And I also wanted to make sure that everything was written by an Asian author, because I have books that are like about Asian history, but it's not written by someone of Asian descent. So like, I don't think you can see it. No, you can't. But it's up there on the top shelf. But I have a book about the Japanese internment camps in America, and but it was written by a white dude, so I didn't want to read it. Also, all of these books that I chose, all 5 of them, aren't America specific, so it's all, or at least I don't think so. I'm excited to get into them and get started reading them. And yeah, that is really kind of it for this video. You gonna say bye and then you're gonna go sleep with your brother? You wanna say bye? I love sniffing your head. Is that weird? Leave in the comments if you think that me enjoying sniffing my doggo's head is weird. Do you think it's weird? Do you not like it when I sniff your head? I just think she smells so good. So, goodbye. We will see you next week. Probably for a wrap-up. I'm probably going to do my wrap-up next week. I know it's long overdue, but again, this month has been a little bit crazy.